Hey, good afternoon, kids, or maybe morning, depending on where we're watching it. We are moving on to the next lesson about cells, which is called the chemistry of life. And if you remember back in the fall, when we talked about atoms and compounds and all of those things, well, they're going to come back into our lessons now because atoms and molecules and compounds are in our cells. Okay. So even though they're non living things, they are in our cells. So by the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to discuss our chemical makeup inside of us, like what elements are inside of us and those type things. Okay, so the objective of now through next Wednesdays for about a week are that you can explain that atoms join together, bond together to form molecules that are found in living things, plants, animals, anything living, any organism. And you will be able to identify or name 6 different elements that are found in living things, including us. And starting probably Friday and for several days, we're going to talk about this last item, the 4 main types of molecules in cells. And then lastly, we'll discuss or draw the role of water in cells and why water is important to anything living. All right, we have a couple standards here. Cells are the fundamental or most important unit of life. That's part of the cell theory. And cells carry on specific functions or jobs that allow living things to keep living, or as it says, sustain life. All right, so we're going to look at this like little prediction page. Fill in the blank or phrase that you think correctly completes the following sentences. So let's look for this. The chemical formula for what is H2O? Well, we talked a lot about that in the fall. That is water. So the H stands for hydrogen. What does stands for oxygen? Well, it's pretty easy. It is O. And then I want you to think for a second, if you don't get enough water, what could possibly happen to us? Well, a word called dehydrate. You need water, you need hydration. So if you dehydrate, it affects your body in several ways. All right. And we have this person in the mirror. It says, what do you think you are made of? Lots of cells. And cells are made up of molecules, and the molecules are made of atoms. All right, we're going to go past that. All right, what are atoms and molecules? And these are questions that you will have to answer after watching this. All right, they are materials in cells. Well, materials in cells are made up of atoms, and then the atoms join chemically to form molecules. So a good definition of atoms is the matter that you encounter every day, and it's living and non-living. That's the key, okay? Cells are just in living things. Atoms can be both. All right, so they are the basic particle that you encounter every day of your life. Perhaps you remember in the fall, we did the periodic table of elements, and it looks like this. All right. Currently, there's 118 different atoms. So right now, that's what there are in the periodic table. Scientists are discovering new ones all the time, though. All right, another important fact, and this again will come up in a little bit, but it is a question on your daily questions. Human body is made up of 6 elements. Okay, so the 6 main elements in our body, oxygen is the big one. That's kind of obvious. Then carbon, which should be a little obvious because when carbon and oxide mix to make carbon dioxide, that's what we breathe out. Then there's hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and something called phosphorus. I don't know if you've heard that word. All right, very important question. How do atoms relate to cells? Like, why in the midst of this life science lesson are we back to talking about atoms? Well, cells are made of atoms. So everything about cells are made of atoms. And we're going to start really looking at that on on Friday. All right, we got a oh shoot, didn't mean to click that, but that's all right. So here again is your list of elements in the human body. Again, it is a question you'll answer here shortly. The biggest percentage is oxygen. There's also carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus. All right, so we have the atom, which is the smallest particle. Now let's go up to molecule. A molecule is a group of atoms that are held together by chemical bonds. Okay, over here we have probably the most common one in the universe, H2O. We know that is a molecule of water. Okay, so as we say here, water is a molecular compound made of two hydrogens and one oxygen. Okay, I think this is a fascinating fact, and we might have talked about it this fall, I can't remember, but hydrogen and oxygen are gases at room temperature. So like in your house or at school or whatever, that's room temperature, like 70, 72, whatever. They're gases. But when they combine, for whatever properties they have, it makes them liquid at room temperature. All right, so these molecular compounds, okay, compounds of molecules, can be made up of one element or multiple elements. All right, so if we look at this picture here, as we talked last week, the human body has trillions of cells made up of many different molecules. So water molecules are made up of one oxygen and two hydrogen, and water molecules are in each of our 10 trillion cells. Okay, so over here, this para-athlete got a gold medal. And the question, or the statement says, if you could see the gold atoms that make up the outer coating of the medal, they would look the same. So it's just gold atom after gold atom. So let's look at this question. How are the gold medal, which is just one gold atom after another, and the human cell similar or alike, and how are they different? It's a great question. All right. Well, they're both made of atoms. The cell has all different kinds of atoms in it. And we'll get into those specifically tomorrow, but so it has atoms in it. Okay. Well, gold is only made of one kind of atom. Okay. It's gold atom after gold atom. The cell has multiple elements. Okay. There's oxygen, there's hydrogen, there's where they combine. Okay. So that is the difference. All right, we will stop there for today. Make sure you answer the questions. And if you need anything, let me know.